Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. I hope all of you guys are ready for your Friday afternoons. I know I am. Can't wait to stream between 5 and 9 tonight, and I hope to see some of you guys there. Hopefully, we'll finally be able to actually stream the game, since between all of the maintenances, we haven't really been able to do that this week. Today in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about Agrias and how to deal with her. Because there is a lot of problems with Agrias, and there are some really specific hard counters to Agrias. So we're going to talk about those hard counters. We're also going to talk about hard counters to Mustadio, because what Mustadio and Agrias both have in common is that they can disable and debilitate your party with status effects. If you haven't seen my status effect tier list video, it's quite a wild ride, and I would definitely recommend you guys go check it out. But specifically, if they land a Petrify and you're not prepared to deal with it, if they land a Disable, if they land Stop, it's over for you. There's nothing you can do. And just by toggling an ability that we don't normally use, or running a specific unit, you can counter 75% of these issues. So let's talk about the first recommendation that I have. And y'all are probably gonna think I'm crazy, but it's actually the waifu who I've knocked for so long. And while I'm currently leveling her and she has gently come into my good graces, I want to talk about her abilities and her TMR, specifically Sacred Step, because this is going to solve some problems for you if you don't need to run Ayaka specifically on your team. So this is going to give you access to Purify, which is going to remove Poison, Blind, Sleep, Silence, Paralysis, Confusion, and Petrify. Specifically for us, Silence is important, Petrify is important, and Blind and Confusion are important, because those are all status ailments that Mustadio is going to be using and that Agrias is going to be using. Particularly Confusion, Silence, and Petrify can be game enders if they land on your units. What's important about this TMR with Purify 2 is that it doesn't have to be on a mage or a healer unit. You can put it on one of your other units and it can support your units who might have those debuffs. So if you want to be extra safe, you could run Ayaka in your composition, and then you could run another unit with her Trustmaster on them so that you have access to double the status ailment protections. I think that's going to be the best way to win against Ayaka and Mustadios, and even in some capacity, Warrior of Lights and Deletas with their end stops is running both Ayaka and running her TMR. Now, Sacred Step, the TMR will not remove Stop. So let's go into Agrias, Lord have mercy, Ayaka's abilities, and talk about what will remove Stop. Now, Ayaka is a unique unit in that Ayaka is the only unit in the game that can remove Stop from your characters. And how she does that is with her Limit Break. So her Limit Break, if you guys aren't aware, most commonly is seen as healing allies to full health. What a lot of people don't realize, though, is that it also removes Stop and it increases Stop resistance for your party. So for a lot of people who are already running Ayaka, this is already a solution to Agrias's debilitating debuffs, is that you can run Ayaka and have access to her LB. That's going to be one of the best ways to go up against Warrior of Lights, who are high faith build for Stop Blade, Deletas who are going to be using Stop Blade, any other unit that's going to be using Stop Blade is really going to come to a stop with Ayaka's LB, because most of the time they're going to be popping Stop Blade in the beginning of the fight, and Ayaka's LB will not have gone off yet. So if Stop Blade does land, Stop is going to be cured. Now, one of the other abilities we need to talk about Ayaka is, of course, Esuna. And the reason we need to talk about Esuna is I think there's very little understanding of Esuna, and I think people don't run Esuna on their Ayaka. So Esuna removes Poison, Blind, Sleep, Silence, Paralysis, Confusion, Petrify, Toad, Immobilize, Disable, Berserk, and Stun. So there's only 2 status ailments in the game that Esuna does not remove, and that's going to be, can you guess them? Charm and Stop. So having Esuna unlocked and leveled up is going to be very important for your Ayaka in the upcoming days, because there's going to be lots of Immobilize and lots of Disable with both Mustadio and Agrias out in the meta. Now, one of the other things you can do if you do have a healer or a mage or any unit with sub-time mage is you can run Null CT Change as well. Null CT Change is going to stop the enemy's ability to land Stop on you, and it can be very powerful. Now, if you are running a Quicken build like I do in Arena, this is not something you want to set. This is, in fact, something that could hinder you because Quicken wouldn't affect your units, and neither would Haste. So if you have a Time Mage, you do luck out just a little bit from being able to set Null CT changes. Again, Ayaka is like the end-all be-all anti-status ailment beast, everyone. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some other units. And of course, Ayaka is not the only unit with Esuna. We have many units in the game with Esuna, and I think probably the most useful unit right now that's in the meta a lot is going to be Rain and Miranda. Keep in mind though, for Rain, you do have to sub Red Mage on him, but a lot of you guys are sub Red Mage for Jamming Thrust anyway, so it's going to be a matter of just unlocking Esuna. Miranda also has access to it, and almost every Red Mage in the game has access to Esuna. Now, there are some other ways to heal status ailments in the game for non-conventional units, and that's going to really focus around Gafgarion and Ziza. There are a few others with access to Purification. So what we're looking at is a monk ability here, and let's see if I can find it in here. I'm pretty sure I have it unlocked. Not Revive, I can tell you that one. Purification. So this is just like Ayaka's TMR. Even has pretty much the same name. Removes Poison, Blind, Sleep, Silence, Petrify, Toad, Immobilize, and Disable from allies within area around self. So you are going to be able to AoE it, and you are going to be able to hit yourself and multiple allies. So the drawback with using the Monk's Purification, it's not a ranged cleanse, and it doesn't remove Stop. Now, one other note with this is not all monks have access to this. If they are primary job monk, they do have access. So that would be like Etre, that would be like Mereluke. Gafgarion, as far as I could tell, is the only unit with sub-job monk that has access to Purification. Now, I could be wrong, but in my research, that's kind of what I was finding. I looked up a whole bunch of different units who are pretty popular, even UR tier, who have access to sub-monk, and I could only find Purification on Gafgarion. So Gafgarion, of course, a very usable unit, same with Ziza. So you may, if you are running either of those units, want to set Purification and run Purification on them. Now, in terms of, is status ailments going to be like end-all be-all destroying the meta? I think what it's more likely going to be is you're going to try and avoid Agrias compositions if you don't have any status ailment resistance, or you're going to target Agrias compositions if you do have status ailment resistance. So essentially what I see it really coming down to, and I'll just be like honest and direct with you guys, if you got Ayaka, you're going to be targeting those Agrias comps. That's really going to be one of Agrias and Mustadio's biggest weaknesses, is just the nature of having Ayaka and having Null CT on her. That's it. Ayaka is really just the most powerful counter to any status ailment that we have in the game. Of course, there are units, and they're actually MR healers and SR healers that do have access to the ability Esunaka, and there's also not to be confused, the ability Erase. Some important notes though, because I can already see people talking about this in the chat below, is they're saying like, hey, Mustadio has debuff resistance or stuff like that. Debuffs are different than status ailments, and maybe I should have said this towards the beginning of the video. Debuffs are going to be like attack down, defense down, spirit down. Status ailments are going to be like poison, blind, disable, stop. So when you have a unit that's giving debuff resistance to your allies like Mustadio does, that does not mean that they have status ailment resistance. And that's a really important note as we're going forward into the future. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope this video at least helped talk a little bit about how you can go up against Agrias and maybe plan to take her down. And I hope it helped you guys. Honestly, Agrias I can see being a pain in the ass really soon, since we do have so much JP for her already. There's probably already going to be maxed out Agriases in Arena by the end of the week. So I hope you guys are prepared, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. As always, drop a comment down in the comment section. Come join our Discord at dig.gs/discord. And as always, if you are buying Visior and you are in America, use my affiliate link dig.gs/coins, or go to dig.gs/offer, because I am sponsored by the Amazon App Store. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.